Shiga Prefecture constantly ends up in the bottom third of the most attractive prefecture contest in Japan. That's right, it's not a very attractive prefecture according to the Japanese people. Last year in 2025, it only ranked 37 out of 48 prefectures. It's not the worst prefecture, not by a long shot, but it's down there. It's always in the bottom third. But does it deserve that? Is it that bad? Or is it just being overshadowed by its twin, Kyoto, who is constantly placed in the top 5 most attractive prefectures? I had to find out, so I went there myself, if it's deserving of that low rank. And, kind of? Not really? Maybe? I don't know. Getting to Shiga Prefecture from Tokyo isn't a problem at all. It's only 2.5 hours. You jump on a Shinkansen from Tokyo to Kyoto, transfer to a local train, and Bob's your uncle, you're in Shiga. But the problem is, most people stop their journey around Kyoto, because once you're in Kyoto, why would you then head north again to check out a prefecture that you don't really know much about? Apart from the fact that there's a giant lake there. But there are some really interesting things that you can check out if you visit Shiga Prefecture. One of those interesting things is Shiga pottery. And I know a lot of little prefectures in Japan do have their own kind of pottery that's been developed there for hundreds of years, but Shigaraki ware is just a little bit different. It's a type of special stone pottery made in the Shigaraki area. And the pottery made in Shigaraki is pretty special. The pottery that comes out of Shigaraki is known as one of Japan's 6 ancient kilns, characterized by rustic textures, natural ash glazes, warm tones, and simple, earthy, wubby-subby aesthetics. It's especially famous for something that I think the international audience appreciates, and that's Tanuki. So my first stop on my Shiga adventure had to be Chikushi Station, a location famous for its ceramics and of course, the big bald Tanuki. And I was pretty surprised. This town kind of freaked me out. There was more Tanuki here than people, and each and every one of them had gigantic balls. What the fuck? Some of these Tanukis were generally terrifying. I'm talking like 7-8 foot tall Tanukis, 2-story Tanukis. What kiln was big enough to cast this Tanuki? This town has issues, but yeah, I'm here for it. It's pretty fun. To check out classic Shigaraki pottery, you've got to go up to the Shigaraki Ceramic Cultural Park. And although I did want to hit that eventually, I first had to check out some more modern pottery. So I headed over to Notta Shop. That's the exact name, it's called Notta Shop. Fucking love it, brilliant name. Notta Shop still practices that traditional Shigaraki pottery, but it all comes with like a modern spin to it. It's super cool, traditional Shigaraki ceramics fused with like a modern twist. It's kind of a perfect balance for anyone with a modern kitchen, but still wants some kind of Japanese flair to be there. Even this cat cup that I have in most of my videos is actually Shigaraki ware. It's rustic, it's real, and while the texture of pottery you can find in Notta Shop is very similar, the balance, the style is all very, very different. After exploring Notta Shop and traveling for about 3.5 hours to get to Shigaraki, I decided it was time for lunch. And when it comes to having lunch in Shiga, there is only one choice, and that's udon. And not just any udon, because a lot of Japanese prefectures do have udon or soba or some kind of in-between noodle as a staple. And that's fantastic. Listen, I love me a good noodle, but I want something authentic to the region. And I found it here at this weird store in Shigaraki. The store has the most annoying name to pronounce. It's called Tanuki Banpuku Banpuku Udon. I didn't know the name of the store before I went to the store. I just knew that the store had really good ratings and the udon was traditional, so decided to check it out. The style of udon I got was something called Noppe Udon. It's a style from Nagehama known for thick, starchy udons normally served with an assortment of vegetables, particularly with a starchy sauce made with mushrooms. The dish supposedly inspired other dishes in the region, such as omi champon, which is a heartier vegetable soup with ladles of broth lashed on, which is also another favorite famous dish in the Shiga area. These dishes kind of highlight what Shiga udon is about. It's about using local ingredients, local vegetables where possible, but also because Shiga is pretty damn cold, it needs that thick, warm soup to go with it. I absolutely wrecked these noodles. They were bloody fantastic, but it was kind of hard to slurp my nudes with these raccoon eyes following me around. After a wonderful lunch at Tanukiya Banpuku Banpuku Udon, it was time to hit up the ceramic park. And the ceramic park did we indeed hit up. You can take a bus to the ceramic park. It is up a little bit of a hill, but if you're okay with walking, it is honestly not that far from the station. The Shigaraki Ceramic Culture Park was built as part of the People's Recreation Land project. It's not just a place for tourists to come and visit and hang out, it's actually a pretty integral part of the community. It's intended to support various activities around the theme of ceramics, including artistic creation, training, exhibitions, and kind of everything else in between. So if you're a budding artist in the area or someone that just wants to work with their hands, it's a place you can definitely go to for not only advice, but also an affordable location that you can exhibit your art. It's very much focused on the local industry and helping out those who live and work in the area. So that of course includes the promotion of local industry, the development of culture through, human hands, materials and information exchanges. But they're also focused on outward promotion. They're not just looking within the walls of their own town to build something special. They're reaching out to different prefectures, different countries to get more international exhibitions also happening in the area. It's honestly a beautiful thing that they're trying to keep this culture of Shigaraki Wari alive, but also trying to diversify and create more space for new voices to come in. It's the proper way culture should be developed in a small area like Shiga. And the park's been there for a while now. This isn't a new thing. It was founded and opened in June of 1990, so like 2 years before I was even born. The park is rather large. It's not just one big area. It's a massive area separated into a few different areas. So you have the exhibition hall for industrial ceramics, where local Shigaraki Ware is shown alongside global works. You got the artistic creation and training residence, where local and international artists have an artist in residence program where they can train inside the center, do workshops, and generally train alongside seasoned professionals. Obviously, education and culture is really important there, so they have various different classes where schools and outsiders can come in and learn Shigaraki Ware, have cultural exchanges to better understand the traditional arts and styles of the area. And then, as discussed before, there is local industry support. This is how the center supports the local community, be it artists, stores, creators, or just a simple case of attracting local visitors. And the center also has a bunch of facilities for people visiting, including studios, restaurants, a little cafe, a really big lawn that people can chill out in during the summertime, and outdoor exhibition spaces. It's honestly a really fantastic day out. Even if you're not too interested in art and ceramics, it's a great place to go just to check out the interesting pieces that are on show. I'm not a massive ceramics head, but I do love a good cup of coffee, and thus I do love a good big mug, and they're pretty hard to find in Japan outside of these large ceramic workspaces. So if you're living or just traveling in Japan and you're in the Kyoto area, it's honestly worth just popping down and checking what they have going on there. It's pretty worthwhile, honestly. But it was time to say goodbye at the Deepanaka, and I had a fantastic time. Got to see some giant Tanuki balls, some even bigger Tanuki, great food, cool people, great works of art in Shigaraki. But it was time to check into my hotel. And let's talk about some bad things about Shiga. At the beginning of the video, I said the best way to get to Shiga was taking a Shinkansen down to Kyoto and then going up. And it takes about 2.5 hours. This kind of was a lie. There is a different way you can get to Shiga. You can take the Shinkansen directly to Shiga, to a station called Maibara. I would not recommend this. And the reason I wouldn't recommend this is because Maibara is possibly the worst Shinkansen station I have ever been to. Not in the world of the trains are late, not even in the realm of it's hard to transfer or it's difficult to get a Shinkansen there. It's mostly because it's the boringest station I've ever had the displeasure of staying at in my entire life. I mean, insanely so. First and foremost, there is nothing to do in the station. Not really many izakayas, not really many places to hang out. There are no sites within the station either. And I get it.
You're like, but Jordan, it's only a train station. Why didn't you do these things?
Well, it's a Shinkansen station. It's a station that a lot of people who are taking an early Shinkansen the next day are going to be staying at. The least you'd want is for food places to be open a little bit late. They weren't. Things close disgustingly early. The bare minimum of things you want is 2 or 3 hotels in the area, so the one hotel that you're staying at isn't super crowded. Also not the case. There's a Toyoko Inn really close to the Shinkansen station, and that's kind of it. And that's the hotel that everybody stays at. So if you're trying to escape the hotel in the morning, you're going to be waiting at the lift a very long time. The station feels half-baked. It's in an area that is right smack bang in between between the castle and an area up north where you can take the boats onto the lake. So it feels like a really good area to stay at until you stay there. And Japanese netizens online say the exact same thing. The station is very inconvenient, and I have to agree. Did it spoil my entire trip? Of course not. It was one night in a pretty shit station. It was perfectly okay. But it did make little things like getting dinner, going for walks, actually enjoying my night in Shiga, kind of impossible. And while I'm using this time to rag on Shiga, I think I'll continue. The trains in Shiga are also generally not that good. And that's not any fault of Shiga, that's just the way the prefecture is. So for those that don't know, there is actually a giant lake, Lake Biwa, smack dab in the middle of Shiga. And it's a beautiful lake, it is massive. There are certain places on the lake that you go to and you can barely see the other side. It's pretty phenomenal. The issue is, if you're up here in Maibara and you want to go down to Shigaraki, for example, you can't just pop down. It's a very long way to go from north to south or south to east. It's almost impossible, and every trip takes like 2 hours. And it's definitely a massive problem. Sadly, a problem that can't be fixed until we have some kind of aqua train, but until then, we're just kind of stuck. And it's a similar problem that the Chuo line has in Tokyo, where the line is so long that an accident or something happening at one end of the line will affect the other end of the line eventually, just because trains are going to be slow and delayed. And you have that exact same problem in Shiga. However, in Tokyo, it only affects 1 or 2 trains. In Shiga, it's affecting every single train. But let me make one thing clear. It's fucking beautiful. Riding that train up alongside Lake Biwa, you got Lake Biwa to your left, beautiful fields to your right. It's something special, especially at nighttime when the sun is just setting and everything's beautiful and orange. It's fantastic. It is one of the most beautiful sights I had saw in my trip to Shiga. And if you have nothing but time, a wonderful trip. 2-3 days in Shiga hanging out, just vibing. What an adventure. What an adventure. But if you're on a tight schedule and your main trip is Kyoto, and you just want to go to Shiga for an afternoon and then go back to Kyoto, you could probably make it to Shigaraki and back, but anything deeper, you're going to have issues. Like, you want to check out the castle, and you can do it, but it's going to be a really early morning to get there, and you're probably not going to get back to Kyoto until like the last train. And it's not really the fault of Shiga, that's just kind of how Shiga is. It's a big lake, what are you going to do? And speaking of the big lake, the climate in Shiga is actually broken. When I went to Shiga, let me draw a line on this map. Here's Lake Biwa. When I went to Shiga, I started down here in Shigaraki. Don't get me wrong, the entirety of Shiga was fucking cold. It was winter when I went. And down in Shigaraki, it was cold, but it wasn't unbearable. I was hanging out, traveling around, having a grand old time. It's a great little prefecture, you know? A little bit nippy, a little bit cold, nothing to write home about. We're doing perfectly okay. The second I crossed that line, and I got just above this area, snow. I'm talking piles of snow. More snow than I've seen for a long time. And it confused and baffled me because I was just down south and there was no snow. I went 3 stations up and I'm in a tundra? What happened? Just like the problem with the trains, this is the fault of Lake Biwa. And I love you, Lake Biwa. You're a beautiful gal, but also, you're fucking cold, and you're freezing half of Shiga alive. So when you eventually do travel to Shiga, know you're gonna need like 3 different types of clothing just to get around. I stupidly was wearing felt shoes and was walking around the castle, feet colder than they've ever been. I felt like I was exploring unknown Arctic locations. It was pretty awful. Great castle though. But outside of those bad points, Shiga was pretty fun, and after spending a really weird night in a terrible Shinkansen station, I did get to check out the castle. So I went to check out Hikone Castle, also known as Shiga Castle. And it was fantastic. A great little castle right by the ocean. And while it was a fabulously placed castle, beautiful mounds, the issue was the lake was right there. So the snow, that's right, was right here, below my feet, and I was not wearing shoes capable to handle that level of snow. I was cold. My damp discomfort aside, this was a castle that I just had to visit. Why is that? What is one of the originals? Hikone Castle is one of the few remaining original castles in Japan. It is a national treasure. Not only is it one of the original castles, the keep is still well preserved along with the gardens and the turrets, a rarity even amongst the original castles. It's a fantastic site and a must-see if you visit Shiga Prefecture. And the castle is positioned in a way that it has the best view of both the Sakura season and the autumn leaf season. The castle was built by the Ie clan and construction finished in 1622, and it was one of the castles that was spared destruction in the Meiji Revolution. It's a pretty fantastic castle, it's absolutely astonishing. I spent a long time in the castle just exploring the keep. I want to go back again, but not in the wintertime, hopefully in the spring or the autumn, so I can really check out the cherry blossoms or the autumn leaves that seem to surround the entire castle. Astonishing, just magnificent. And with that, I was ready to wrap up my Shiga adventure, head back to Kyoto, and take the Shinkansen right back to Tokyo. But I was alerted to something interesting. Apparently, one cannot leave Shiga without trying Bamkuchen. Apparently, Shiga does it just fantastically well. But I'm not really a fan of Bamkuchen or roll cake. I find it to be dry and displeasing, so I decided if I'm gonna have some stupid roll cake, I want to try the best. So we went from the castle all the way to Omihachiman Shiga Prefecture just to try the best Bamkuchen in the area. A little location known as La Collina. La Collina has been chosen as the most popular spot in Shiga for 3 consecutive years. Now really deep that, they've got a lake, they've got a castle, they've got a whole traditional pottery town, but this location that serves rolled up cake is the best place to visit for 3 years. And it's not the cake, don't get me wrong, the cake isn't the reason this has become one of the most popular locations in the region. It might be one of the reasons, but it's not the reason. The reason is the building and the surrounding locations look straight out of a Ghibli movie. The entire location gives Ghibli Instagram vibes. And yeah, the entire area is basically just one giant sweet shop. The vibes are very nice. The specialty is more Japanese and Western style confectionaries. So we're talking dorayaki, which are little Japanese pancakes filled with red bean paste, or of course, bunkahen, the big old rolled cake. But you can also find various types of souvenirs, snacks, and omiyage in the area. As I said before, the garden is straight out of a Ghibli movie, and it's become one of the most popular locations for people to visit. So even if you don't want to be there for the snacks, people are generally there just to take stylish photos in the garden. And when I was there, it was snowing. I mean, like, someone's activated that Skyrim spell style snowing. It was fucking ridiculous.
Look! Nope.
I didn't get as many images of the garden that I wanted to get, but it was a choice between eating delicious cake in the warmth or freezing to death outside. I chose the cake. And the fairy tale-like building was very alluring, but the cake, honestly, it's pretty good as well, I'm not gonna lie. The cake was also pretty damn good. And once again, I don't really like bunkahen. I find it to be overrated and boring, but this was generally delicious and it was very well made. Beautiful rings of deliciously baked cake with a nice little icing crust on the outside. That with a little tea on that kind of winter day, yeah, it's what the doctor ordered. How does one begin to rank Shiga Prefecture? I think it's a nice area. I think it's a beautiful little day trip away from Kyoto. I think if you're living or working in Kyoto and you've not traveled up to Shiga yet, you're wasting time. Go and check it out, preferably in the summertime or the springtime. It's a beautiful little location. But all in all, Shiga Prefecture, yeah, it's pretty good. Would I put it in the top 10? No, I'm not a crazy person, but I do think it's worth a visit. Are there worse prefectures? Evidently so, we've seen the rankings, but there's also better prefectures as well. However, Shiga being so close to Kyoto is a detriment to Shiga itself. If it was a little further away from Kyoto, I feel like the prefecture would get a lot more love. It's kind of just stuck in Kyoto's shadow, and that's just kind of sad news for everyone there, you know, but it is what it is. But guys, let me know, have you visited Shiga Prefecture, or is it a place you're planning to visit in the next few years? Let me know in the comments below. You know what guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Yeah, I'll see you there. Bye bye.